Yo, what it do, kinfolk and skinfolk, newbies, welcome. Y'all not in the wrong place. You are in the right place to be. Where is that place? The lifers will already tell you. That is the Life Be Lifing podcast. Yeah. We are hosted by none other than the lovely, the vivacious, the electric, eccentric, and eclectic, the witty, the wise, squishy gangster herself. Mimi, the goddess.
What's up?
Yes, yes, yes. And she is flanked by none other than your favorite fat freckled man, your favorite coach's favorite coach, the big dog himself, Splash Charles. If you ain't already seen the jumpers up on, Coach Now replays, well, look, I validate that name. Speaking of validation and, you know what I'm saying, making things plain, we're going to hop right into it. Tonight, we're going to discuss the good old topic of generational curses, man. People mention this term all the time, and it's a real thing. Plenty of people experience it. If you're blessed, you've overcome them. You know what I'm saying? And for some people, you still fighting and you still trying to make your way. Maybe it's one of those Moses thing, right? Where you ain't gonna make it to the promised land, but that kid after that kid, you know what I'm saying? Like the grandkid, or your nephew, your niece. Some that next generation coming up is gonna benefit, from what you did now, and that'll break the curse for them going forward, right? So we're gonna get a little bit vulnerable and we're gonna get a little bit personal with y'all tonight and let us know what that looks like for us. And of course, I always start with my lovely co-host. Mish, what you got? Give them one. We gonna go back and forth like kissing styles.
So okay, I'm cool with that. So for me, I know the biggest one is like the poverty like mindset or like the financial um learning piece, money management, um, just budgeting and so forth. Because I mean, my parents were middle class, upper middle class, they government workers, but I think they had a keep up with the Joneses type mentality without knowing it. And, sometimes people, I always make the joke, the more money you make, the more problems, right? I mean, of course, oh boy said it, more money, more problems. So I feel like our people, the more money we make, the more we spend, the more we want, the more we buy, the more we think we need. And sometimes your wants are always not, necessarily a necessity. Um, and I feel like coming from generation to generation, like my grandparents and my parents, the struggle was, oh, I want to have better than. So when my parents were, doing their thing in the government, getting that extra overtime, making that money, I would more say it's my dad because my mom was not really a big spender, but my dad is like, I mean, you only live once. You ain't promised to be here tomorrow. I can't take this with me when I go type deal. And it's like he would say, everything for sale except for my family, but I'm gonna want what I want is what I'm gonna have, and I'm gonna get what I want. And so I think like sometimes I feel like I developed that mentality because I'm kind of spoiled. So it's like I always got what I wanted, and I'm like, was that a good thing? So now in that now that I'm a working adult and I know money in, money out, how cash flow goes, how debt works, because my battle right now is my student loans. And that luckily I just have grad school student loans, but my parents didn't struggle with that. So it's like their debt was like credit cards is surmounted and them overspending and budgeting and whatnot. I don't have that issue. I budget really well. I don't overspend. I invest heavy. I get bank accounts for all of the kids. Like that's how I'm probably negating a lot of that generational curse of, the next set of kids doing better than we did and better than my parents did. But at the same time, it's like it's hard because you see things you want, you say, I work hard, I deserve it because I work for it. I should be able to take this trip. But in essence, it's like, is that the right mindset? So I know I've been trying to work myself out of that mindset for a while and like teaching the kids responsibility. Like I just had a conversation with my nephew today. I know I'm the rich auntie. Um, I know I always say yes, but I have to put a boundary in place because like I literally just gave you $100 on your card 2 weeks ago, and now you're talking about some Aunt Mimi, I'm trying to buy this Fortnite account, and I'm like, no, you should have managed your money a little better. Like, don't be asking me to send no PayPal request to nobody. Like, no, you just gonna have to thug it out, homeboy. And he was just like, oh, but you normally yes, but I normally do. But see, that's the problem because you're used to me always saying yes. And like even with Jax, oh, Mimi, can you buy me this? Can you buy me that? I just bought you a whole jewelry set of pearls for your birthday. You don't know where none of them is. No, I'm not buying you nothing. Go find them pearls. Let me know when you find them. When you take better care of them. So it's like if I was taught those kind of things, and it made me more responsible with the things that I buy, I have to spend money on. I've been working since I was 13, so it's like, yeah, I've always grinded for my money. So asking for somebody to buy me something kind of was like I would only ask my parents for the necessities for the most part. But then there were times where it's like, oh, well, I really want these Jordans. So it's like, oh, yeah, well, I guess I got to spend my own money. So I'm teaching these kids, like, sometimes you got to spend your own money. And is it worth it in the back end? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I own so much shit that I have bought. And I'm like, if I had the money back for this shit, I would probably be way richer than I feel like I already am. I probably would have more money invested. I probably would feel like I didn't waste money. So for me, I know, the financial piece, getting out of that, spending, YOLO lifestyle, poverty mindset, not really minding your money, budgeting, investing, because honestly, they ain't doing nothing but moving the retirement age up every other year. And I'm not trying to work till I'm 75. I'm looking at them like, y'all think I'm gonna be working for the government till I'm 67? Nah, that's not gonna happen. Like I'm trying to figure out some ways out already. So, I think that for me is one of the most important ones because I see like money really does make or break you. It really ruins a lot of relationships, and it really causes you a whole lot of problems. Like I had this thing about the three main things that ruin a marriage, and finances is one of those. And I feel like finances just ruins a lot of shit for people. So if I can get that locked down for my family and the ones that are following me, then like I think I'll feel accomplished. Like that's my legacy. Like y'all gonna mind money a lot better than we did. So
Tough and very important, very very important. Because, like you said, finances ruins a lot of things. Bad finances ruins a lot of things, and they could go on the ripple effect of financial instability, poor decisions. Man,
right.
good lord. I heard a rapper say it the other day. He was like, they talk about poor people making poor decisions as if you ever decided to be poor. And it's like, as if being poor was ever your decision. And that's the person who's on the back end of the generational curse.
Yep.
You didn't decide to be poor, but because of
Nope.
decisions that people before you made, they decided that you would be poor. Because
Yep.
sometimes it's because of things like let's be honest, right? We black. Sometimes it's things like racism, it's systemic and systematic that
I mean, yeah,
that
that
puts
whole
people
pull
in these
yourself up a little
situations.
bootstrap shit.
Yeah, like sometimes it's
That
that,
shit ain't
but then sometimes it's us,
right.
right? Sometimes it's just poor decision making, not deciding to actively fight against everything you got out there, and then trying to swim from under the current when you already, damn near drowning. So that's very
Yeah,
important.
I think for me, when that became a big deal, right, is heading into college and college, right?
Okay.
Um, Realizing like my parents, for as much money as they made, oh, you smart, you'll get a scholarship. And I was like, Oh, all right. I feel you, but nah, like them Jones a dime a dozen. I don't care what you say. Yes, I did go to academic high school, but I'm competing heavily against people like I got a 3.3 GPA. They got a 4.3 GPA.
Mm,
So to know that my parents didn't have any plan for my postgraduate education, and then my mom had the nerve to be mad because I went where the money was, you're crazy. Like that's when I realized the money mindset was off, right?
okay.
And then going to college and you know doing the job as the team manager and working a work study job and then having another job just because I like I like having my own money. Like I said, I've been working till 13. I like buying shit, but like the amount of shit I bought when I was in college, unreal.
Mm.
Like when I sat and thought about how I spent a lot of my refund checks.
Ha.
I could have came home and bought me my own home,
Mm.
down payment ready, probably mortgage paid up for a couple of months. Because we talking between a partial athletic, the money that I got from Pitt on academic scholarship, and then like the grant from DC,
Damn.
the difference between in-state and out-state tuition. I was getting $4,000 and $5,000 refund checks every semester.
Sheesh.
Yes, right. Then working. Can't tell you where none of that money went. None of it. And then like to come home because my grandmother passed, and so like that family home gone. So it's like, okay, I thought I was coming home with somewhere to go, stack money until I'm ready to go buy my own little house in DC. Nope, that option is out. So now I gotta come home and pay $600 in rent. Like, yo, it got real for me, and I think it was between going to college and leaving college is where the money piece really clicked for me. It really clicked for me, like the credit card use and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
I don't think people realize how real that shit
They don't.
get.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah,
A lot of people don't. So that's very important.
yeah.
For me, right out the gate, um, beating the generational curse of fatherlessness, is very important. I'm gonna tell some personal business. My biological father was. It's crazy, right? Because he's not actually fatherless. Like the way I got the story initially was that he was, and hence why he decided to pass that on, I guess, to not
Yeah,
be
I smell
active as a father. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's not right.
Particularly in his son's life, which is really weird when I look at it, because
Yeah.
he actually pretended to play dad with multiple of his daughters, but neither of his sons. Um,
Mm,
but that's another story. Come to find out, as I met more people in the family tree, and I look, dad's still alive. Dad got a relationship with the daughters. Seemed like he had a relationship with the other son. I don't know the all the exact details as to how he became the outcast, but so it became.
yeah.
Um, to where he didn't get that, paternal love, didn't get enough of the maternal love. Um,
Right.
it's very weird, and I don't understand it. But all I know is he didn't get it. One way or another, he didn't get that in his life. He didn't have his dad over him, raising him, being an impact, and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So then he went to sire several children and not really be a father to them. Um, and I see it all the time where, you have dudes who they dad wasn't a dad to them, and then they don't feel. I've even heard
Mm,
a couple of people actually say out of their mouth. I was watching a TV interview one time, and the dude really said it. Like they was, asking these black men about the stuff that they go through. And he was like, "Man, I didn't have no dad, so I felt like I didn't have to be a dad. Like I made
yeah.
it all right without a dad. So I figured these kids would be cool. They mom good. They'll be straight." And I'm just sitting there like,
Relatable.
I can't relate, right? Like I actually remember being frustrated with that because how does that even work in your head? Because you had to have known the things you missed out on. Even if you think you turned all right, like I don't think I'm a bad human. I don't think I'm a terrible human.
Right.
A lot of people would tell you they think I'm a good guy. I probably wouldn't go
Right.
that far. I think I
I can't
might.
stand it all the time. I'm not that great.
I might. But you know what I'm saying? So that being said, it's in spite of, right? Like it's in spite of those things. It's because I was blessed in other places. Yes, I had a really great mom.
Right.
Yes, I had a really loving grandma. I had aunts. I had, male cousins who was like uncles. You know what I'm saying? I made mistakes in life and kind of had to learn a lot of things the hard way. But
Right.
the thing is like not being able to have the dad to teach you something. The dad that's good at something and he passes it down to you, or
Right.
you get involved in something and then your dad is there supporting you. Not having that matters. Like my
Exactly.
dad sucks as an athlete, but it would have been cool to have a dad that cheered for you when you hoop, that,
Yeah.
you trying to learn how to box and he probably can't fight either, but at the very least, you know what I'm saying, could point you in the right direction. A lot of guys like I like to think that I'm the dad who has homies, right? So the things that I'm not great at, I have context for. I'm not great at math. I have a younger brother who's awesome at math and a wife that's great at math. You know what I'm saying? I got homeboys in IT. You know what I'm saying? You already met Fobs, the record label homie. So, if any of my
Yeah.
sons was into music, I could put it to him. You know what I'm saying? So
Leveraging your resources.
there we go, leveraging my resources and my connections. But
Hmm.
being a father, I looked at fatherhood two ways. Either I was never going to be a father, or I'm going to be a father. Like I'm going to be a daddy. Like I'm not just going to be somebody's biological father. I'm not just going to be a sperm donor. I'm going to be somebody's daddy, dad, pops, they
Hmm.
OG, they old man. You know what I'm saying? Like they guy, their go-to guy. And from the moment I really was able to settle with the fact that I was like, once I got past the terrified part of finding out I was gonna
Pretty
have my
terrified.
first kid, like it mattered to me more than so many other things.
Right.
And every day it's a thing, right? Every day it's a thing for me. It's a point where I have to reevaluate, even in the midst of maybe parenting wrong. I try to catch myself, or if I find out or I did it, or maybe my wife will have to say something, or maybe somebody, what I mean, in the camp, saw how it went, or they could come back to me and be like, well, I heard such and such happened, and he talked to me about it and the way he feels about it. So then, all right, I'm gonna spin the block on the situation. But
Right.
speaking for me and my older brother, particularly, shout out to you, June, love you, bro. We both took it very seriously. Like I said, our sisters, got to experience what it was to live with him, and you know, as piss poor of a parent as he still was, to have him in the house, to be able to say, all right, well, when I go home, my dad going to do this or my dad going to do that, as opposed to, just finding out some dude, help create you and then you'll see him when you see him. Um,
Right.
and we knew that that was never going to be our situation. Um, Even my brother finding out that, he had had a kid with a woman he was no longer with, like even him finding that out, it was so important to him to have a relationship with that young man, to the point where now you see how he participates in it and you see what it does for him. Like we were on a conference call and he was just crying, talking about the fact that he prayed to God for that opportunity to be present
Mm.
in that young man's life, to be a father to him, even though he missed all that time before because he
Right.
didn't know, and so forth and so on. And that's the kind of things that would matter to us. You know what I'm saying? So just breaking that cycle of fatherlessness, the ripple effects that it causes, you don't even realize at first. You kind of have to find it out through other people. Like
Right.
people who say certain things about my son and then realizing that those things trace back to me. People who say, like he's also a coach. So, you know what I'm saying? That
Right.
fatherhood extends to the players and to the kids that we mentor. So, seeing those traits that's instilled in them, it all matters. Like, we gonna be fathers to kids that's not even our kids because that's just how much it matters to us. So, for
That
sure,
is so
that's a
true.
big one for me. That's a big one for me.
It's funny because my second one was being a better parent than my parents were, right? And that's not to say that my parents were bad parents. And although I'm not a parent biologically, because much like you, it was I'm I always said I'm never getting married, I'm never having kids, and that had a lot to do with how trying it was for my parents to be parents um, to the three of us, and then throw my little cousin slash brother in there after losing his mom, and then like all the other cousins that rotated through there from time to time on my dad's side because my dad's family is very trauma filled. I just was like, I'm not getting married and having kids because being a parent is tough.
It is.
Uh, if I knew then what I knew now about the struggles my parents were going through, I probably would have a lot more grace for them back then.
Mm,
There would be a lot more understanding. Um, but I said, if I don't have the patience, I'm not going to become a parent. If I don't have, the understanding, I'm not going to become a parent. I mean, even though I'm a godparent, and that's like Marley is literally like my child, right? And I think I realized in really being hands on with her how difficult it is to be a parent. All that goes into that. I have a host of nephews and nieces, and our parents, you know, I guess, supplementally through them, right? And
yeah.
it's just finding the time to spend with them, like spreading my time evenly among them. Um, it's funny because I realize I'm really not fit to be a parent. Well, people seem to think I would be a great parent, right? But here's the drop. We went out, my sister and I went out on Saturday. We came back to my parents' house because her husband was working
Okay.
and she had my parents watch the kids. So we came back there because we both left from there. And long story short, she was like, "Tell Aunt Mimi about what happened in school." And so she's embarrassed because she's worried that I'm going to be mad. And I'm just like, "Jax, what happened?" And then she was like, "Not want to tell me." So Vamika was like, "Yeah." So I asked her, "So Jax, you gonna tell me what happened in school today?" And she was like, "Why? I know you got a class dojo about it." And I just was like, "Oh, she's so a little mean, right?" And so she was like, "But I want to hear it from your mouth." So she was like, "Jax, tell her what you said." And so she's like being shy, cowering away, and like, "No, no, no, don't want to say it." So long story short, my sister who was like, "Yeah, she would tell the little girl Sarah. Sarah is another trouble kid. Um, Sarah, just shut your fucking mouth." And Jax was like, "No, that's not how I said it." She said, "I said, Sarah, would you just shut your fucking mouth already?" And I was like, in that very moment, I knew that probably came from her listening to me cuss people the fuck out. And I was like, yeah, you're not a good example of a parent. Because I mean, it was so perfectly executed. Sarah, would you just shut your fucking mouth already? Like, and I'm laughing. And I'm like, yeah, Jax. But I realized I probably shouldn't have like cheered her on in that manner. But in hindsight, in 2020, talking to Yolanda, it was the fact that, my niece struggles with focus issues now that she's back in a public school. And this little girl takes a lot of focus away from all of the kids. And so I think Jax is tired of getting called, you know, to the carpet about it and getting phone calls sent home and class dojos about her lack of focus. And this little girl is aiding in that lack of focus because she's talking about very inappropriate things during class. So she just was like over it. And that was her way of expressing, like, "Look, little bitch, you about to get me in trouble again, and I need you to shut the fuck up." So it's like I don't want my sister to shut her down because she used inappropriate language, but like give her credit for being able to express herself because obviously this little girl's a pain point for her. But I was just like, yeah, Jackson, and Famika was like, Demisha, no. And I realized me and my sister parent differently, right? Like my sister has that shit down pat. I'm not gonna lie, she's great with her kids, and I'm just like always trying to be the fun, cool, understanding auntie. But I was just like, I mean, I'm not really mad at her. And like, my best friend confirmed as a therapist, I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy. But I also understand that me and my husband have very different parenting styles. Not that I want to be the friend. I want to be respected, not feared. And he wants to be feared, not respected. And I'm just like, I don't want to operate like that because I feel like that's how my dad tried to operate was, oh, you gonna fear me. And I was like, yeah, so you don't really know about me. I don't fear nobody. Like God. Yeah, that's about it, buddy. I don't fear nobody. So that there was a struggle there. And I was like, I would never parent like that. I don't want to be a parent if I got a parent like that. I don't want to parent with anybody that wants to parent like that. So for me, it's like I knew like either through me having kids or me being entrusted with other people's children, I was going to have to parent differently. And my mom has this very avoidant like style and attitude about everything. And I literally just said to the other day to my sister and my best friend, I was like, now I understand why I hate people. And I know hate is a strong word, but I hate people that are very avoidant and like negate dealing with things and shy from confrontation because it's like you make shit worse. And so it's like I don't want to deal with people like that. And so it's like I will never be like my parents. And that's not to say my parents are terrible. I just feel like they could have done better. They could have done things differently. And like between me, my sister, and my brother, we all have different personalities. And I just don't think they were able to manage those personalities. And I pride myself on that. I mean, you see how I am with your kids. Like, I can talk to Nick like, yeah. And then it's like, Nate, now tell me about this. And it's like, how do you do this? How do you go? And it's like, I can do that. And I think that's why people love me with their children because it's like, I can be talking to the big one and then I can talk to the little one. I can be kicking it with the big one and I can just play with the little one. And it's like, that's how I want to be as a parent. And I just don't feel like my parents had that depth in parenting and it made it very hard. So for me, the second one was, and I'm not going to, at this point, I can't even say parenting, right? Dealing with children differently because they're very fragile, from the ages of, I'm going to say 2 to 13. That's when they're molded the most, in my opinion. So for me, that's definitely the second generational curse or trauma that I feel like I am dead set on working at being different about.
No, that was mine too. I ain't even gonna lie. That was mine too. Um, Being as though I came from a strict background, you know what I'm saying? If you met the Caribbean mom, you know what I'm talking about. If you got a Caribbean mom, you know what I'm talking about. Caribbean parents do not play. If you see these bad behind kids with Caribbean parents, that's because they dropped the ball, okay? Something going on. Something going on. There's a story behind it. It is a story behind that
What is wrong?
somewhere, okay? There's a story somewhere. Because that it just ain't how it go because you be too prideful that
They
you
sick of
being
parenting.
no, you be too. They're doing it got to be something deeper than that. I promise you. Every time it's
They
something
sick
deep.
of parenting.
It's something deep.
Yeah.
Okay, something that
Yeah, cause
happened. Cause
yeah, them
yeah,
kind of parents be rough. But
yeah.
anyway,
Because they pride themselves on not being embarrassed.
yes, yes, yes,
They what
for
you say,
sure.
rule with fear. Yes, iron fist. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's their style of
absolutely
parenting.
fear before loved and respected is right under fear. And it's something that I said that I always wanted to do with my kids is to be a better communicator. So I'll speak specifically since you covered a lot of that part. I'll speak specifically towards just we be on the same wavelength sometimes. I'll speak specifically
True.
about communicating with children, communicating with our children, right? So I was a kid who had questions. I might not have been as inquisitive as people tell me my wife was, but I was a person who had questions about things that didn't make sense. Because on one hand, my mom raised me to investigate. My mom raised me to not just go for the okey doke. Problem is, when I feel like she hit me with the okey doke,
You had questions.
the switch don't
Yeah,
turn off. The switch don't turn off.
it's
You taught me this, and now
it's
I'm
funny.
using it because you taught me to use it. And now I'm in
Exactly. That is
trouble.
one of the things that I hated. Exactly. I was like, I will never do that. Like, don't tell me I'm free to speak. Like, we can have conversation, but then you ready to slap me in my face for what I'm saying.
Okay?
Like,
Because let me tell
why are
you,
we doing
I caught the slaps. I caught the slaps. For questioning certain things, I caught the slaps. Yes,
at least I was warned.
I caught the stare
I
down.
did get warned.
I caught the stare downs. I caught the, about to get slapped. And I caught the slap because sometimes I just asked the question at the wrong time. Barely.
I mean, with the kind of mouths we got, I can imagine.
So, it's just kind of like, and it followed me into school. So sometimes that's why I
Mm.
caught slaps because now my mom, you know, she sent this well-behaved honor roll student to school. So she don't understand why she's getting letters or calls back home because it's not for the conventional stuff like, oh, he's cutting class or he's trying to freak on a girl or, he's just disrupting my class and being disrespectful. It was always, you know, I think Nari don't know what to do with his mouth sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Or even all the way up to high school. I can't remember this lady's name, but she probably the one teacher that set me straight.
Mm.
And she wasn't even like my class teacher. I was in the Upward Bound summer program. Shout out to
Yep.
Del Tech Upward Bound, all my UB folks.
Yeah. HU, you know, for us, that's where we had to go.
She was biology. Yes, she was a
Mm.
biology teacher. She was a biology professor. And it's crazy because she taught biology, but she knew a lot about English too. Um, and I would ask certain questions, right? And people would sit there and be like, "Ooh," and she never blew up about none of the questions.
Yeah.
One time she held me after class and she was like, because I've heard you say this, everything you know and think don't need to be said, even if it's true.
Literally, that came from a teacher in high school.
So it was kind of like this juggling act, right? Of trying to figure these things out as a person. Now, by the time I'm a parent, I gotta accept and expect that at one point my kids are gonna ask me these inconvenient questions. If I
Hmm.
raise my kids to seek truth, when something doesn't make sense and they go to seek truth, I have to meet them halfway. It can't just be, well, that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's the way I was taught, and that's the way I teach you, so you got to stick to it, so forth and so on. Everything down from why you eat with this fork to religion and spirituality. I allow,
Yeah.
within reason, I allow
Right.
to be questioned because I want you to get it for yourself. Because if it's one thing I understood is that
Absolutely.
as a teenager, I would have been a lot better off if I had learned to internalize the lesson she was teaching me because I understood why she was teaching me it, as opposed to just feeling like, well, you just the prison warden and you telling me I got to do this. So once I get a little bit of freedom, you think I'm finna do that? No, it's crazy.
Right.
Bad enough you a woman trying to tell me, a young man, how to live life. I'm definitely not. What? Don't go there.
Yeah.
You ain't never been nowhere. You from Trinidad, man. Come on.
Not the prison warden.
You ain't you what you know about being over here doing this and that. You be in church all the time. You don't know nothing. Whole time, as a lot of us adults say to these kids now, we done lived life and we done seen some things and been through some things and did some things. But I never knew that stuff about my mom. I didn't know about the times my mom did things to get in trouble because I knew my
Yeah.
grandpa was, the authoritarian. Everybody was scared of this man. Like iron fist, like I said, scared of this man. I've heard of some of the whoopings he put on a couple of my uncles. We talking about like nowadays he'd be arrested, flat out.
Mm. Yeah.
Not even a
Well,
question. They taking the kids.
yeah. That's all a part of the parenting differently. The
So
response.
she didn't raise me as harsh as he raised them. But when it came to the principles, yeah, it was straight up straight jacket with it. Like this is how it is, and that's that. You can't date girls. You can't have no girlfriend because you are 15. Boom, end of story. Let me go get a
You
girlfriend
know,
then. Let me go get a girlfriend then. Because you're trying to keep me from the fun.
And
and,
see,
and,
no, I think
and,
that's
and
them thinking they protecting us, and they don't
they
realize,
but
no,
they
that's not protecting
are
us.
but they are protecting us. But the fact that what they don't realize, me and my mom had this conversation now, as adults and from a parent to a parent,
Yeah,
and I've said it to her. I said, I wish you would actually talk to me about the why. You shut me up
right.
so many times and it gave me all the cause I said so, cause I said so, cause I said so. And I'm not saying I'd
And
have
it's
been the
like, no,
perfect
it ain't
child
so.
regardless, but if you gave me more why instead of because I said so, there's certain things I would have never stumbled into because
Yeah,
it would have made sense.
yeah. I mean,
When your why is
well, I
just
think
because
about
I
it. Hold
said
on.
so, it's like you keeping the goods from me.
How you keeping the goods?
Because again, my mom was boring as far as a person. I didn't see my mom have a lot of fun. She worked. She went to church. Church was her fun. That was not going to be my fun.
Right.
Like to a certain extent with the homies at church, yeah, no, cool, cool, cool. But outside of that, like, no, I want to have fun with my peers in high school. I'm out here doing this school thing out in Delaware, but I'm trying to have fun out here. I'm trying to, oh, we going on this away to this college trip. Oh yeah, let's cut up, let's wild
Yeah.
out. You know what I'm saying? And granted,
The,
I was raised well enough not to do too many stupid things or anything too far beyond the pale. But just even simple stuff like embarrassment with girls, right? Sitting there getting wrapped up in a girl only for her to, break your heart, so to speak. Simple things like that, where if you had just told me that I wasn't ready for a girlfriend because I'm not prepared for the financial aspect that's going to be thrown in my face, if I'm not ready to risk my life to protect her safety wise, um,
yeah.
if I don't have something to bring to the table as far as what am I going to make her better at? How can I increase her? How can I uplift her outside of just compliments and, oh, I like you so much. You so
Yeah.
pretty. You're so funny. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because those are the things that
Yeah.
real relationships are based on, how they increase, how they grow. If I had been taught the difference between just, having fun as that young buck and going out on dates that don't mean nothing and probably not going to lead to nothing versus trying to get this girl I'm going to be with forever, I could have avoided a lot of heartbreak.
I
But
mean,
everything was don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. You're allowed to do this. You better do this, 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 and this. And there was no actual communication. So now, and my mom used to say that she felt like I over explained things to Nick, but there's certain things that I didn't have to worry about. Even now, when he does certain things that I tell him not to do or I ask him not to do, he can come back now and we can have that whole conversation out to where he's like, I get it.
right.
And I don't have to worry about that being the same situation further on down the line. There's a story I'm not going to embarrass him by telling, but all I'm going to say is I was on his head, I was on his neck about it for the better part of a year. And I explained it to him, and he did not believe me. He thought old fuddy duddy dad must not know what he talking about. He went in and went that route, got bruised up for it, had him in a bad state. Not gonna happen to him again.
Yeah. Because they gotta learn the hard way. That's also a part of parenting.
You know
Like
what I'm
you learn
saying?
the life
And that's the
lesson.
thing. Like I told him that. I said, listen, I'm not here to say I told you so, but I'm here for you. So let's have this
Right.
conversation and tell me what you got from this.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, with all you said about your mom, that stated it's part of the protection piece for them.
It is.
And we gotta think about where that comes from for them.
Mm-hmm.
They think that they're doing what their parents did because it was the right way, the right thing, the best thing. When they don't really realize, like, it was on them to break that, generational curse of poor parenting, because that's what that is. Because what they don't realize what you're doing is you setting us up for failure. Like, do you realize how many like girls that probably wouldn't be pregnant if their parents didn't try to stop them from being into the boys and being out here dating. Like, how many girls used to leave the house and change their clothes and walk out of
Yes.
school? I was not one of those kids because me and my parents had very open lines of communication. I didn't have curfews and all that kind of shit. Like, I went to parties. I was driving at 15, and I feel like it was because, the way of my dad leaving home so early because of all of the traumas he experienced. And then my mom, like my grandmother being strict, and my grandfather just being kind of like a whatever your mother say kind of parent. Um, my mom was like, yeah, I'm not finna do that because I see how it made us. So I respect them because they recognize that, but then also they didn't think about all that came with that and what they had to do to keep cultivating that so it didn't turn into a shit show. Um,
Mm,
it's just like, I don't know. It's like they mean well, they want to do
absolutely.
better, but sometimes it's so fucking ingrained in them that they don't know how to deviate from what's the norm. And it makes it hard for them parenting. And you just kind of like,
Because they didn't have
you
the
sit back.
resources, right?
There you go. I'm about to say, you sit back and like, you didn't have the means or the resources. So really, cannot blame you. But at the same time, it's like, catch up with the times. Like, mom, I'm trying to tell you, like,
Facts.
this ain't working, baby. Like, I'm going to go do what I'm going to do. And it's like, can we not do this? It will be so much easier if you just explain some things to me. I'm not trying to test your gangster. I'm not trying
Right.
to overstep. I'm just trying to understand. And if you just tell, and it's like, my dad used to tell me all kind of shit. Like, when people, they laugh at me. I'm like, man, my father used to put me on the game. My father was a nigga. My father was out here 16 trying to get bitches. Like, he knew what the bitches liked. He knew how to pull bitches. My mom was out here like ignoring the boys, and she knew that drove them crazy. And she's like, ignore him, and then you ain't never gonna have to worry about it. And it's like, that's why I'm so cold, so hard on a nigga. Like, I'll ignore a nigga in a minute. Like, I'm not that person. But you had girls who vie for so much attention that they would do crazy, wild shit, but nobody explained to them. Like, it's just like talking about sex early.
Yeah.
I was like, let's just go have a conversation because let's just be honest. I was developing very early, and my parents was like, "Let me explain something to you." They see all of that. They gonna be all in your face. But like, okay, so I'm gonna dress like a little boy. I'm gonna be tomboyish. Nobody's gonna want to talk to me. Wrong. eh, wrong. But
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so now my dad is like, is you gay? No, I'm not gay. I'm trying to keep the boys away. He's like, oh, okay, cool. And then it's just like, bruh, what is going on? So it's like their mindset behind like functionally changing parenting just wasn't there. And I think
No.
for me, that's what I said. I'm going to functionally change how parenting looks for me, dealing with kids because, like what Mickey used to say, you tell Marty too much of your business. No, I don't. Like, to this day, no embarrassment to her, but Marty still like, I'm not interested in sex. And not because I don't think I don't want her to have that experience, right? But for someone like me who started way too early, but just because I was fast, nosy, like maybe my parents talking to me about it was a problem. I don't know, but guess what? I ain't nobody baby mama. I was very safe and protected. My parents had that conversation with me. It was like, we can't stop you. You can't be everywhere you're gonna be. Were they disappointed? Yes, but it's just like, well, let's just make sure we arm you with the information.
Right.
So it's like, no, I tell these kids this business because I want them to know the stupid mistakes that I made, even though they didn't land me in very precarious predicaments and situations like other people because I
Hmm.
was a little more educated by the adults in my life, especially my grandmother. Oh, my grandmother was like, yeah, we're not doing this. And I think it was because she realized. So we had this conversation about how sometimes a grandparent takes the grandchild as the second chance at
Hmm.
parenting
Hmm.
and doing it right. Like, that's how it was with my grandmother, and I feel like that's how it is with my mom and Kyan. So I think that's what it was. So yeah, I tell these kids anything they want to know. I don't have nothing to hide from you because me hiding and lying stuff from you is gonna make you go look for the answers somewhere else, and those might not be the answers that I want you to
We
get,
actually
especially
covered
if they
that
might
on
not be
that They
good
Lied to
answers.
Us episode. That was
Hmm.
actually the point you brought up. You yourself had actually
Yep.
brought up that very same point, is that they lied to us by
Yep.
not telling us things.
Yes. And I don't. I just don't think that's the way in parenting.
It's
So
not. It's not. There's a time and place to shelter your kids. but you got to start taking the roof off. You know what I'm saying? You got to
Yeah,
peel it back as it's necessary, and you have to recognize that it's necessary. It can't be when it's too late.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think they mistake that for protection.
Absolutely.
And it's not protection. Like you're not protecting me. Like you're trying to, and I forgot the phrase that I was going to say, but like they try to make the two synonymous,
They
and
do.
it's not
They do.
protection.
They do. They feel like sheltering you and keeping you under
There you
this.
go. Sheltering is not protection.
It's not.
That's sheltering me is not
It's
protecting me.
not.
Like you making me stupid by trying to shelter me. Like protecting me is giving me the game, teaching me, telling me, giving me the honest, upfront truth, and letting me know like how to move in accordance with that.
I told my
Like so, yeah.
mom.
Sheltering me is not protecting
I told my mom that it's like animals in the zoo, right? They're not hunting anymore. You know, the big game animals are not hunting anymore. The stuff
me.
gets thrown in there. You know, they're under climate conditions. Um,
The pampered.
you feel me? So, Lord
Yeah.
forbid they have to make their way back out to wherever they came from. They food. They're not gonna be able to catch
Definitely
nothing. Their instincts
not
are
gonna be able.
gone, right? And that's if they had instincts to begin with, because some were born and raised there, so they never had that experience. It's not even the muscle memory. The muscle memory it would take for this cheetah to chase down this gazelle is not even present
Right.
in zoo-born cheetah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what it
Right.
is with these kids. Like I can sit there and try to do what you did, and no, let's make sure that you never see what porn is. No, let's make sure that you never know what drugs is. No, excuse me. Um, but excuse me, I felt that one coming. Thank you.
Allergies is among us.
Oh my God. But you know what I'm saying? Then
Yeah.
all it does is leave you vulnerable, one, to the mistakes you'll make by yourself, but two, as one of my friends said, you're stupid behind friends who know no more than you do. Who and whatever they do know, they learned it wrong.
Yeah.
And they're going to lead you astray. They don't
Yeah.
even have your best interests at heart for real because they don't even know how to do that. They think they helping you. Yeah, bro. Listen, you ain't even gotta use the condom if you pop it right after a period off. Like,
Nigga, no. Who told you
you
that?
see what I'm saying? Like, and it's you don't want to leave that for them to find out through friends. You don't even know we want to leave that to find out through schools because you're not present at the school and you don't know exactly what's being taught.
Right.
So definitely, like I said, it's just making sure that I open up the community, the ways of communication. The same way you was like your mom said you tell too much of your business. My mom used to be like, you give him too much of these stories of your past. He knows too much about you. I said, no, he doesn't. There's certain stuff he'll
That's
never
why
need to
I
know
am who I
because it's
am.
irrelevant to his
Right.
experience. So until he goes in that type of situation, then I won't tell him the story
Exactly.
because it's not
Exactly. And
necessary.
everything the Marley knows is because I've told her because she's asked or it's presented itself for me to give the story
Right,
or whatever. It's not like I'm like, let me just tell you my business before I
right,
go to
right.
sleep. No,
But the
like
stuff that I'm divulging is because it's giving him the game. It's just like that's what you do. You give them the game. My mom did not give me the game. She gave me the rules. She gave me the instructions.
listen,
That's not giving me the
the
game.
game is to
If
be
I
played by
give you
purpose.
a basketball and I tell you don't travel, you can't travel. You can't double dribble and don't foul more than 5 times.
Then I can't play
You're going
basketball.
to do all of these things
Yep.
because I did not teach you how to
What the
navigate
rules
it.
is.
I just told you
Yep.
what to do, what don't do. Put the ball in the basket.
Give me a roadmap for that, please. Like, give me the roadmap.
No, I'm gonna
Make
stand in
life so
front of
much
you. I'm
easier.
gonna shoot the ball and tell you this is why this works. This is not easy
Yep.
because so forth and so on. And then you get to ask
Right.
me questions based on what I've given you and what else you might feel like you need to know. I feel like communication was the big key as to why, like I said, certain things
Yeah.
I went through. I was always going through certain things. Don't get me wrong. So not like, I tell my mom, like, not everything I did is your fault, clearly, because that's just how kids are. But
Yeah.
certain things I would have avoided sooner or completely if I had known why you told me that. And
Right.
she was like, so you're really telling me that me being your parent, me loving you, me putting all this time, energy, finances into you wasn't enough? Mom, for a kid, it's not.
No.
For a kid, it's just not.
And sometimes they don't understand that that's not the way. Like
Like, you
time
expecting us to value
is
these
is
things
love.
that as kids we don't
Yeah.
value. We don't value time as
Because we value
kids.
time.
We don't value money
No,
as
we do.
kids.
I I feel like kids value time because I feel like Jax always wants to spend time with me.
No, no, no,
I
no,
could
no,
buy
no,
him
no, no,
something,
no, no, no.
like thanks,
We
but
value we value spending time how we want to spend time, but we don't value time as the concept of how limited it
oh no no no
is.
no
That's what I'm
no no
saying.
no no
We
no.
don't value the sacrifice of
Okay,
time.
that's different. That's different.
We
But
don't value how expensive time is and how priceless it is. So the
because as
fact,
kids, you don't think about that.
this is what I'm saying. So the fact that my mom put so much time into me, it's great. I appreciate it, but I don't value what that means to how much time that takes away from her life.
And see, it was the opposite for me. It's like I feel like my parents did not put in that time. It's like
And
they
that's
didn't
when
look for
people
it.
recognize it, when they don't see it.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe that's why I'm like I value the kids value time because I just was like, damn, y'all don't really got time for us. Like, and then me being the oldest, it was like you got it. And no, like no, I don't. I kind of don't, and y'all making me hate the fact that I got it. Like for real, like
Mm, mm,
so yeah,
that's
it
real.
was just like like I need like we need you to show up at the games. We need you to show up at PTA. We need you to be present. So I guess that's why being present is such a big thing for me. You know,
Absolutely.
but yeah.
But yeah, this was pretty good. There's definitely more to other people. Matter of fact, how we do it like this, y'all? Because we like to stay in contact with y'all. We like to stay at peace with y'all. Please, when you see this episode, either hit us up on IG, drop it in the comments here on YouTube, find us on Facebook. You can find
Mhm.
us at IG, either at Life Be Lifing on IG. You can find Mimi the Goddess herself on Life Be Lifing underscore for Mimi. That's Meme. You could
Yeah, get it right. 'Cause somebody keeps telling my name M-I-M-I. And I'm like,
uh,
it's not M-I-M-I.
you can find me at Life Be Lifing underscore nah. Just reach out to us and tell us about the generational curses that you've experienced, the ones that you're trying to break, the ones that you've broken. We ain't even gonna mention your name, but I'll take some time during the week after we get these submissions, and we'll just go ahead and shout
Okay.
y'all out. Like, again, if you don't want your name mentioned, that's fine, but we'll shout out so and so without saying your name. This person is doing this and this person is doing that, right? Because as I told Reese, uh, years ago, back me and him had a personal conversation. Count all your wins. Every generational curse we break is a win. Again,
Yep.
sometimes we're not even doing it for us. We're doing it for the person behind us. That makes the world a
And
better place. That's what
it
legacy
does. And
is.
as small as you making sure you're prioritizing yourself, putting self care first, and
Yes,
sure
that
you're
too.
addressing
Yes,
things like depression and anxiety, and you're getting the therapy. And I know 'cause that's a big thing for people now, but that shit's real.
it
Like
is.
get the therapy you need because for a long time you couldn't tell me that I had issues. It took me getting married and somebody like holding the mirror up and like, look, bitch, look, see, this is what's really wrong with you, to make me say, damn, I got some fucked up shit about me. I got some triggers and traumas that I didn't even realize was there. I need to deal with. You know, my daddy issues look a little different from other people's daddy issues.
Right.
Don't got mommy issues. It's
Mm,
just weird. So it's like put yourself first, prioritize yourself, figure
absolutely.
yourself out, really, prioritize that self care, taking some time for you. Because if you don't do any of that, you can't deal with any of these generational curses. You
Bingo.
can't break. generational curses. You can't remove these generational traumas. It's just gonna carry on and on and on. Because if you don't think you're a problem, you about to cause a whole lot of problems for you and
That's a
everybody else
bar.
behind you.
That's a bar. If you don't think you're about a problem, you're about to cause a whole lot of problems. That's a bar. On behalf of A.C.E, our brother, that's who he always be. Y'all know me. When something get hot, I don't like to go no further. I don't like to ruin the moment.
Shut it down.
Let me shut it down. All right. On behalf of A.C.E, our brother, that's who he always be. On behalf of the owner
Hey.
of Simply in the Shade Catering and the co-owner of Second Line Express, Keish with the K, on behalf of Mimi, the goddess, aka Big Mish. Yeah, yeah. And on behalf of your favorite coaches, I always say be patient. That includes with yourself. Be respectful. Be smart, y'all. Be intelligent, please. That means emotionally intelligent as well. Um,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Be safe and stay dangerous. Be kind to as many people as you possibly can. I know some people make it impossible. Don't worry about it. But most importantly, every single day, take the time to be kind to yourself. No matter what you've been through, no matter what you've done, you deserve it, you need it, and you won't be able to do anything for anybody else without it. All right? We
Mm-hmm.
appreciate y'all. Every like, every comment, every share, every
Yeah.
sub, every follow. Continue to do the things, encourage others to do the things.
Amen.
Help us grow. We have 45 subscribers on here right now. Get us to 50. Get us to 50.
Oh,
All
what
right.
y'all doing out
Get us to
here?
50 so that y'all can tell us whatever y'all want us to do. And for the 50, for the 50 subscriber, we'll do whatever episode y'all want. All right. I'll
For
take
sure. I like that
I'll
idea.
take I'll take all my restrictions off. We'll do whatever episode y'all want. All right.
Ooh,
Get us to
y'all better
50.
get on
Get
that
us to
with
50
those.
within 2 weeks, and we'll do whatever episode y'all want. I'll push it ahead of all the schedules, and I'll drop that episode. All right.
I like that. I
That's the
like
bet.
that.
Do it within 2 weeks, and we got that for y'all. All right. We appreciate y'all, whether it was 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or 55. We love y'all for real. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see y'all on the next one. We gone.